done a lot of reviews on this channel, but I've never quite done a review for a queen. Alright, here's my claim to review royalty. Welcome to A Reno Does Music, where today we're checking out the debut album from RuPaul's Drag Race winner Sharon called PG13. This was actually a commission given to me by my friend Ghostface103, so big ups to them for giving me something unique here. This album came out shortly after Sharon won the 4th season of RuPaul's Drag Race, and the album actually received some worthy international attention. Placements on the Billboard 200, other charts as well. I looked at the chart results for this album and I thought to myself, oh damn, it was a very good surprise, but it was a surprise nonetheless. While the album and her subsequent music career is mainly framed in dance pop and electronic elements, there were some surprises on this album that delved into a very different genre area that I'm going to leave as a surprise until we get to that point in the review. However, case plain and simple, I think Sharon shines the brightest when she focuses on the pop music genre, which is what a majority of this album features, so let's get into it. I made it clear several times here on the channel that while I enjoy pop music, a lot of times behind the bright, sunshiny lyrics with very interesting and easy to listen to vocal delivery, instrumental elements suffer greatly. I made a point on that on the Ash Nico Demi Devil review, and I made a point on that in several reviews that I penned up and haven't released yet. I get that pop music is all about the person themselves, and if you ever get a full band treatment, it's usually pop rock as opposed to pop, but you gotta have good structure all throughout the song instead of just instrumental beat that just goes dun, 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 and that's it. You gotta have something more than that to make a compelling overall song or album. I'm happy to say that Sharon avoids that throughout the release of this album here. Disco Ball is a track that I feel really just disregards the whole boring and drab aspect of pop music that I just discussed. There's a nice twinkling electronic backup behind the words and the lyrics represented here, and just the overall sound is very reminiscent of what a disco ball does. It just spins around, never stops, keeps it going, lights the room up, and that's what the song does all throughout the track time. There's very much a set of pop sensibilities that Disco Ball and throughout the rest of the album Sharon forms to in a certain way, but they actually look at it as the best possible situation of it, as opposed to just the, oh yeah, it's a pop song, I'm singing, but the rest of you are not important. What I'm trying to say here is that there's care to the overall song as opposed to just the singing and just the vocalist. Following suit in track order, next we got Dressed to Kill, which, fun fact, according to Genius.com, this song was originally meant for Britney Spears, but she turned it down and Sharon ended up buying the rights to it. I feel like this song is a really great display of her overall attitude and persona within music, as well as her persona about herself. And there's a really interesting line that I want to pick out here that I feel represents the overall idea of the song as well. Again, just the overall idea of who Sharon wants to be represented as. Right in the bridge, she goes, "This isn't a fucking costume, this is a way of life." Outside of the, obvious connotation here that maybe this is a reference to Sharon being a drag queen, I think something that I saw referenced a few times in different online forums is that this might actually be in reference to how her look, both within music and within drag, is a little more out there as compared to a lot of, big air quotes here, normal queens. Like, a lot of people tend to just get a look that's either overdone or very basic and subdued, whereas Sharon all of her looks are done with a little more fever, a little more focus on delving into character work, I guess you could really say. A lot of her looks, for better as opposed to worse, tend to fall into more of Halloween with specific attention to detail or full-on delves into that, such as there was a drag show I went to where she straight up dressed up as Elvira in a very well-done look. More lines like in verse 2 reference Sharon keeping it underground, but still remaining on top, and I like how that correlates to where she, like I just said very briefly before, all of her looks are over the top, but she gets the job done. She keeps it good, keeps it flashy. She goes out of her way to make sure her looks are unique and that her music itself is unique. Skipping back to the earlier section of the song and my personal favorite song, we have Call Me on the Ouija Board. This song once again captures her image perfectly while providing some more, I suppose the easiest word to say is darker elements to the overall pop sound. It still sounds very much like a pop song, but sounds like it's got a little extra, because it does have a little extra here. It has this darker element. It takes a lot of effort to make a seemingly face value basic lyrical approach and make it sound not only catchy, but compelling. And in Call Me on the Ouija Board, it accomplishes both those tasks as well as creating its own little unique story happening here. Of course, it's very straightforward, very sing-songy. Literally goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, Call Me on the Ouija Board, so on and so forth throughout the alphabet. And it's just straight up referencing someone trying to connect to somebody, possibly somebody dead, or possibly just an overall vague spirit here, pleading with them to communicate through this board, communicate through these simplistic terms, whether it be because it's easier to understand for the person that the song's about, or just a general, hey, Ouija board, you're dead. do the rest. This actually continues in the bridge with the lines maybe yes and maybe no, speaking on more spaces found on the board here. What makes PG13 stand out not only as a pop album, but also among the many different albums done by past, present, and future drag queens, certain musicians, is the spooky attire this record dons time and time again, just like with Call Me on the Ouija Board. Just after that, you get the song Dead Girls Never Say No. While the actual lyrical content of the song borders on, well, let's just say spicier field, I think a connection from inspiration to lyrics is about the relationship between German scientist, oh, I'm gonna fuck this up, Karl Tanzler? And a patient he obsessed over, and how he would keep and have sex with the corpse of the patient after they died. I guess that's what Wikipedia says. Wikipedia can be trusted sometimes, and sometimes not so much. I still use it as a valid source because it is a pain in the ass to approve an edit on Wikipedia. Oh, you want to add a period? Fuck you. No. I'm sorry, I'm getting off track. I asked the person who commissioned me about this because they know a lot more about Sharon Needles music-wise and just in general, and she thinks that some comparisons can also be drawn to Sharon's hometown and the things that were going on there, just the way that people would, I believe she termed it as like hang out in graveyards and do weird shit with the bodies. I can see that, I can definitely see that, and I thought I'd bring that up as well for the sake of conversation. And you have, moving on from that to a less spicy topic, less necrophilia, more just spooky ooky. You get the much more mellow cover of Ministry's Every Day is Halloween. It's a nice little cover, nothing really much to talk about. The song's content itself covers the feeling of having to hide from the world as well as just the despair that follows from hiding from the world. Now moving from, fucking a corpse and being sad, we have the last song I want to cover on here, the out of nowhere, straight up punk track, Hail Satan. This song is a shot of pure blood, piss, and adrenaline that I never expected to be on this album. It offers a brief moment of even more individuality from this debut that drives up its power and standing. The references to the Bible and Christianity, coupled with the very bold demeanor of Sharon, creates very compelling story subject here. The lyrical work here it can get kind of simplistic and kind of repetitive at certain points, but it's for the better in terms of purpose. As well as I'd like to give a special shout out to the featured person on here, Jane County, as well, putting in some great vocal work. I think my favorite part of this track here is right before the final chorus. You start off with a very fiery and empowered declaration of, should I yell this or should I just say it? I'm just gonna say it. God sold me to kill you. And then right after that, boom, you get a quote from the Bible from Revelations 21:8. If I ever get the motivation to create more unique lists than just 5 albums to listen to while playing this, 10 underrated genre albums, a list that I would like to do is unique albums within the blank genre, which can still be called a little basic, but I think it's worth making. Because pop music, like I said in this review, like I said in my other review of Ash Nico's Demi Devil, pop music can be pretty fucking basic and tasteless sometimes. When you get releases like PG13 here, there's flavor to be had. There's a new frame of existence to be had within that genre there. It doesn't have to be basic. It can have new elements. It can have different elements. It can have spooky elements like here in this album. And this album is much more compelling for that very fact that it implores those. You can argue that pop music, all you need to do is be catchy to create something great, but I say fuck that. If you want a really great pop album, you need something beyond just having a catchy song. You can't just make a whole album that sounds like Call Me Maybe. You gotta have more substance, more beneath the surface here. And whether it be down to the introduction of occult elements and subjects that usually aren't inserted into pop albums, or just the wealth of talent put towards the actual pure pop and dance pop elements, this album does it all. And it's for those reasons I'm giving PG13 by Sharon Needles a 7.9 out of 10. And that's a review. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Did you think I missed a couple things? Do you think I may have skipped over something or not talked about it well enough, or talked about it wrong? Let me know down in the comments. Let's get a discussion going. Above all else, have a great day, stay hydrated. I'll see you next time.